Close your eyes and picture yourself flying through space without a ship, no metal hull, no fuel, no window of glass, only awareness moving like a beam that does not fade. Stars fold into a quiet spray of light. Galaxies look like lanterns on a vast sea. You feel contact that does not care about miles. You feel a thread that ties here to there without asking permission. The idea sounds like legend at first, yet stay with it. Let it breathe. We are going to explore a claim that shakes old maps. The claim that consciousness can ride quantum connections and touch distant places without waiting for engines start, with the hard truth that every astronaut knows. Space is large beyond honest comfort. The nearest stars sit so far that light needs years to arrive. A ship that sails with our best engines would take lifetimes to cross a small neighborhood of this sky. Radiation gnaws at living cells. Equipment fails under cold and heat that makes steel tired. People grow lonely in metal rooms that hum for months. Even the bravest heart pays a price when distance laughs at effort. We stand on a shore and dream of another shore. The ocean between is not water. It is time engineers fight this ocean with tools, better propulsion, smarter shields, closed loops that keep air and water safe. Every new design buys a few more years. Every clever plan shaves a little risk. Yet the basic arithmetic does not budge. Light speed is a wall that no rocket may ignore. The body carries needs that no slogan can erase. This is why real interstellar travel still feels like a song about a future we may never see. Not because we lack courage, because the scale itself is a quiet giant that sits on the road. So we ask a different question. What if travel is not the only way to explore? What if connection can do some of the work? Not wires and radio alone, something stranger. Quantum entanglement is the name we give to a link that ties two systems so tightly that an action here matches a result there. The link does not care about miles in the way that daily life does. Two particles can share a secret pattern. Touch one and you learn something about the other, as if they whispered when no one listened. The phrase that made people smile and frown in equal measure called it spooky. It still does. It still earns the name many of you know, the careful rule that rides along with this link. The rule says that no usable signal can leap past light. Physicists guard that rule like a lighthouse. They are right to guard it. Yet, even if you cannot push a message through the link, like a letter through a slot, you can still use the link to build structure. You can use the link to share a coin that always lands in a matching way. You can use the link to verify that two far hands hold the same thread. This is a quieter kind of power. It is a foundation rather than a trumpet, but foundations are how cathedrals rise. Now let the mind tilt one more step. What if a human being could join that pattern not only with tools in a lab, but with attention itself? Some theories dare to ask whether awareness and quantum events share a language. The idea of a quantum mind is young. It is messy. It invites strong debate. Good. Debate is how truth learns to stand up straight. The point for us tonight is not to sell hype. The point is to open a room and look around. Awareness feels local when we are tired. It feels stuck behind the eyes. Yet during grief or love or deep focus, we sense a reach that is larger than skin. We sense a field of contact that flows without maps. What if that reach is not only a trick of mood? What if it is a hint? Imagine a future lab where a probe sits on a table. The probe holds a set of systems prepared in paired states with a twin that rests in a station on a distant rock. The pairs are ready before launch. The rocket flies. Months pass. The probe arrives near a moon that circles a red star. Back on Earth, a pilot rests in a clean, quiet room. The pilot wears a device that reads patterns in brain activity with a fidelity we do not yet own, but can picture. The pilot enters a trained state of attention. The station translates that state into choices about how to measure the pairs that remain on Earth. Those choices alter the basis in which the far pairs reveal their outcomes. No message outruns light, yet the weave of correlation carries structure. A map forms from the dance of matched results. A new kind of remote presence begins to feel real. Do not rush past the word presence. This is not a ghost story. This is a design that mixes physics and attention and clear protocol. We would not ask entanglement to deliver a spoken sentence across light years. We would ask it to create a scaffold on which weak classical channels can hang richer meaning. We would use pre-shared structure to raise the efficiency of faint signals. We would use awareness to select which questions the system asks at each moment. We would build a choreography that lets a person feel like an explorer without leaving the room. The ship becomes a mind space. The cockpit becomes a state of attention held long enough for the work to matter. How could steering work in such a place? Steering would not feel like grabbing a wheel. Steering would feel like choosing a frame. In quantum work, a question defines the world that answers. You direct the probe by deciding which question to ask next. Are we in a field with this orientation or that one? Is the pattern of particles near the probe ordered or noisy? Does the light that washes this crater carry a signature of water or not? Each choice narrows the fog. Each answer updates the choice tree. The pilot rides a loop. Choose, measure, update, choose again. The loop is slow by the clock. The loop is fast by the standard of stars. You ask about the body that sits in the chair. What keeps this human present for hours or days? The honest answer is training. A new kind of astronaut would grow in this century. Part engineer, part contemplative, at home with equations, at home with breath, able to enter a focused state without strain, able to hold stillness while the mind moves like a dancer in a quiet hall. This is not mystic fog. This is nervous system skill. The military names it attention control. Monasteries name it practice. Therapy names it regulation. In our story, all of these meet in one useful craft. The brain meets the machine through clean interfaces. Nothing sharp, nothing theatrical. Sensors rest on skin. Gentle fields read activity without burden. Feedback shows the pilot when their state drifts. Soft lights, slow tones. The system hums like a summer night. When the pilot holds the target pattern, the distant station adjusts its measurements. When the pilot tires, the loop parks and waits. A second pilot takes the seat. Work flows and watches like the sea. Skeptics will ask how any of this helps if the no faster than light rule stands like a guard. They are right to ask. The answer is that we are not trying to shout past light. We are trying to use entanglement as a skeleton for shared randomness that no eavesdropper can fake. On top of that skeleton, we build protocols that tease faint features out of noisy channels. We stack layers of correlation and error correction and patience. We lean on mathematics that turns structure into leverage. We accept that this is not magic. We accept that this is hard. We proceed anyway because the reward would change how a species meets the sky. Now we touch the boulder edge. Could awareness itself reach with no wires at all? Could a trained mind sense a pattern that a probe confirms later? Many will say no, many will say maybe, a few will say yes from their own quiet experiences. Here's the stance that serves us best. Measure what we can. Respect what we cannot yet measure. Build experiments that give a fair chance to both outcomes. Use large samples. Use blind protocols. Use humility. If the signal is not there, we learn. If the signal is there, we learn something even more interesting. Either way, the work improves our understanding of mind. What would exploration look like once such a system matures? Picture a network of small craft seeded with paired systems before departure. Each craft visits a different outpost in the local bubble around our star. Each day a team on Earth enters the loop. They steer questions, they receive structured answers, they update maps that grow from sketches into paintings. You could wake and see a new valley on a world you will never step on. You could watch dawn on a moon that circles a planet that circles a distant sun, not through a delayed feed alone, through a dance you helped conduct. The language of flight would change. Pilots would study not only thrust and mass, but also basis and outcome sets. Mission planners would design not only routes and burns, but also sequences of measurement that pull the most insight from each entangled stock. A new role would appear, the entanglement architect, a person who plans the pairings and the questions so that the gift lasts as long as it must. There would be rituals too, small human acts that keep the work intact. Teams would write names of loved ones on the whiteboard before a long watch. They would practice 2 minutes of shared silence before a hard run. They would end with thanks. The mix of science and soul would feel honest rather than odd. Now we widen the lens toward ethics. If consciousness can touch distant places, then what is the self? Is the self a point in the head? Is the self a field that stretches? If a pilot can feel a terrain that sits beyond reach of feet, then what do we owe that terrain? Do we have duties to a valley on a world that has never seen a human shadow? Care begins when contact begins, so we must decide what care looks like at cosmic scale. Clean observation first, no harm done by noise, no reckless stunts that could blind a life we do not yet understand. There is also the matter of consent and safety for the explorer. If attention becomes a tool, then attention can be strained. The work must not treat minds as fuel. Rest must be sacred. Boundaries must be bright. A culture of care must wrap the lab and the team. We will need codes that protect privacy when the interface hears deep patterns that the pilot does not intend to share. We will need norms that forbid pushy schedules that break a spirit for a headline. Power without care is a bad pattern anywhere. It would be worse here. Consider the question of alien contact through this frame. A radio hello may take years to cross a gap. A physical ship may take centuries. But entangled structures can be seeded in many places once a network grows. If another mind learned to hold the loop as we do, then two minds could shape a conversation that rides on shared structure and sparse classical hints. The talk would be slow. The talk would be careful. The talk would be unlike anything we have known. It would change us. It would ask for our best ethics. It would ask for our best patience. Some will worry about fraud and fantasy. They will say that people will claim travel of the soul and sell it as truth. They will be right. So we must design the work so that lies fail. The loop must be testable. Predictions must be specific. Records must be public where privacy allows. Failures must be logged with the same pride as wins. When a claim falls, we thank the data and move on. When a claim stands, we test again. This is how trust grows. This is how noise is kept out of signal. What happens to the dream of ships if this path takes root? Ships will still fly. Touch matters. Mineral and life studies still need tools on site. Human bodies may still cross the dark one day with sails that drink starlight.